So games have moved from a kind of niche to a mainstream market. Children play games, young people play games, old people like me still play games. Everybody's playing games. And I mentioned before, AAA games are still forging the art form in terms of making sort of Hollywood-style interactive blockbusters on a cinematic level. Modern Warfare 3 sold 6.5 billion units within 24 hours of its launch in the USA and the United Kingdom. But the games industry is in constant state of change because it's driven by technology more than any other entertainment industry. And once you've gone digital, there is absolutely no going back. And this year, I'd say, is the tipping point when revenues derived from online sales are going to be surpass those of sold packaged goods at retail. Because there's all these digital platforms now available. Content creators anywhere in the world can access global markets through high-speed broadband. And that's giving great opportunity, challenging of course, but an amazing opportunity for anyone, anywhere to make games for anybody in the world. So games are moving from a product to a service. I would say a second golden age has now arrived. There's been a boom in indie studios who are able to create content in their own individual way, to put their own creative stamp on it and serve content that resonates with new audiences and widening the whole market. So there's this innovation that you see in art and ways of playing. Hundreds of new people are now playing games as a result of that. So games like Plants vs. Zombies, massive multiplayer online games like from Club Penguin. Moshi Monsters, a great British success story from Mind Candy down in London. This game, of course, has an educational component where children learn as well as play, which is great. For the older MMO player, there's World of Warcraft and casual games still available. 50,000 casual games portals around the world serving free-to-play games supported by advertising. Online games like Minecraft and new devices and new platforms emerging all the time. Facebook wasn't around that many years ago, and now 400 million people playing games on Facebook. Games like Farmville, where they had 50 million people playing it at one point. And Village Life. Now, this is a recent hit on Facebook. This company, Playdemic, I'm actually the chairman of this company. This company exists in Wilmslow. This is a fantastic, another great British success story. And I'm delighted to say that there's 70 people there working now, and it's growing rapidly, and they are open to internships. So. Maybe I can help connect you some enthusiastic people who like to get into game industry through Playdemic. So you can also have a look at their game on Facebook. And they're also creating mobile games as well. And mobile games is really where all the action is, because everyone carries a smartphone around in their pocket. These are connected devices to which you, as young people, run your lives through, whether it's communicating with friends, listening to music, playing games, or running your lives through socially. Smartphones is the place for where the games industry is moving to at a rapid pace. Traditional consoles were a huge but still a niche market because the controller themselves required a certain expertise. 15 buttons wasn't as intuitive as some people might like. Whereas Apple really nailed the user interface with swipe technology. Everyone could become a games player by the single swipe of one finger, and that's resulted with some extraordinary explosions of content. Games like Angry Birds, it's now had 1 billion downloads since launch. Now, this was a small team in Finland called Rovio. And one thing I also should stress when you start anything like, never be afraid of failure. So often we write people off in this country when they fail. Whereas in America, in particular, if you failed, once, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, the smart person will say, you've probably learned from that experience. Like, I'm now going to back you because maybe your 8th product's going to be really successful. And Angry Birds was Rovio's 52nd game. It wasn't their first title. So the second message I'll give to you is never give up. Follow your hearts. Don't be afraid of failure. Learn from it and move on. Just make sure you fail fast and learn it and then do your next thing. The big challenge these days is that there's probably 1.5 million apps on the App Store and on the Android. So for every Angry Birds, there are probably 10,000 dead birds out there. So discovery is the challenge. So it's not just about creating the content, it's understanding how to market your content using virality, social media, and traditional marketing to get traction with audiences, to make them aware of your offering. So social mobile games is one way of doing it. One way you send out an invite to somebody, so they go to the App Store with a predetermined download in mind. So that gets over one hurdle, but there's going to be new ways of engaging and building audiences to come, because that's the beauty about the games industry. It's always something new and fascinating happening. Free to play is the business model that most people are moving to. Freemium is also called, where it's free at the point of delivery, and then you upsell content inside that game, monetizing microtransactions of content to make your experience more enriched, quicker, whatever, to perhaps gain advantage against the people who are playing against. Clash of Clans, again, another small company, Supercell, again in Finland. This game, they've got 2 games out on mobile at the moment. This Clash of Clans and Heyday. They are generating about $1 million a day in sales of virtual goods inside these games. So this is a free-to-play game, but there's so many millions of people playing it. They're having such a good time that they're prepared to spend money inside that game for an even better time. So I think the message here is make sure, if you're going to go to the free-to-play model, that your offering is very good. If your offering is bad because you think it's giving it away, people won't spend any money in it. If it's great, they will spend money in it. So again, make a great content, give it away, and then monetize it. So there's lots of new market leaders emerging in the free-to-play space, mainly coming out from the far corners of the world. Zynga from the United States, Gree and DNA from Japan, Rovio, Angry Birds, and probably the biggest of them all, probably people don't even know about it, from China, Tencent. Their market cap is probably bigger than all the Western publishers put together. And they're just demonstrating the explosion of online gaming that never gets reported, as people tend to talk about, another retail outlet that's closed. Of course they're closing, but that's because everyone's moving to a digital download or digital service play. So the game industry, in fact, is booming. At the end of the day, content is king. And if you're looking at being a game designer, you've got to try and think about making your offering very accessible, intuitive to learn. And at the same time, as I said before, it's all about gameplay, but make sure it's not too boring and not too frustrating. You've got to have that sort of zen pathway through the game, which is very rewarding as you play, get rewarded, play, get rewarded, without getting frustrated at any particular point. So these games have got to be simple and to play, and yet have depth in play, and elegant, and try and create some sort of emotional engagement. Clearly they've got to be original. There's no point in trying to do a Angry Birds Mark II, because people will want to play Angry Birds, and make it as beautiful and create tension in the game. And make it accessible and fun. Fruit Ninja. The Prime Minister always says how he enjoys Fruit Ninja. So try and get someone like the Prime Minister to promote your game. And if you can resonate with some sort of childhood experience when you're making a game, you're going to get a sort of subconscious engagement with the user, something that harks back to some sort of pleasant thoughts when you were really young. You can replicate that in a game that's going to be really advantageous. So the changing business models, I'm not going to give you death by a PowerPoint, but I think it's quite important to understand just a few of these things, that we're moving from a premium price product sold at retail to a freemium, free at the point of delivery, which is an online delivered experience. And about customers, it's all about how you acquire your customers, how you retain them, especially on day one, because there's so much content there. You've got to make sure that you really hang on to your user within the first few seconds, or you lose them. The number of times that people have an install, they play it for a few seconds and they never go back to it again. Your immediate offering has to be compelling, intuitive, and fun. And then once you've got your audience, how you monetize them. Discovery, I said, was the challenge, the virality, using social media and recommendations to build your audiences. And last but not least, the most important thing perhaps is your understanding the data that you're given. Serve your offering with its minimal viable product, and then look at what your customers are doing, what they like and what they don't like. strip out the bits they don't like and give them more what they do like. Analytics are your friends. Do not ignore them. So we've moved, in graphical terms, from the 1970s in 1 or 2 pixels and the black and white experience to, I'll just show you some of the console and casual games that are being created in the UK today. Ooh, no, I won't. Yes, I will.